Man, I was sitting here watching this stuff about something called Amazon jungle or something. I guess it's supposed to be millions of miles of acres that ain't been touched. I'm like, whoa, that's a topic that I like to talk hours on, honestly. Like, what that's all about? I'd like to take a trip to the jungle or something. I know I'm kind of late to it or whatever, but I'm just trying to learn more about it. I've been wondering, like, is the they say that the soil is not for thriving. You know what I'm saying? It's not, you can't thrive off of it or something. So that's probably the reason. But it's uncontacted folks there too, like a tribe there. So I'm trying to like, whoa, kind of mind blowing to me. It's like forgetting about a whole country. You know what I'm saying? Millions of miles of acres of land with tribes there that don't operate how we operate. Like, what's that all about? I would heard about them, but I'm just now tapping into it and seeing that this is really real. Man, let me know something about that. What's going on with that? Millions of miles of acres. Trees, rainforest. I've been watching some of that all day. It's crazy.
Trees and other plants in the Amazon have evolved to essentially pull up the nutrients from the soil about as soon as they're deposited there. Moreover, the very high year-round temperatures in the rainforest and the high humidity levels means that dead organic material like leaves and fallen plants or trees decompose extremely rapidly, which means that their stored nutrients are released and lost very rapidly and reconsumed by other plants and fungi before they can ever be deposited into the soil. This all means that the soils of the Amazon never really gain any buildup of nutrients at all, since all of the trees and the other plants within the rainforest are literally living on the recycled nutrients of all the other trees around them. And so the soils themselves are effectively sterile and useless for agriculture, which is why, historically, most of the scientific community considered large-scale agriculture in the Amazon region to be impossible, which is why they believed that the existence of large-scale, complex indigenous societies within the Amazon were also impossible as well. The prominent American archaeologist Betty Meggers, who specialized in South American anthropology through the Smithsonian Institution throughout the 20th century, was a very well-known advocate of this idea. She wrote a whole book that was published in 1971 titled Amazonia, Man and Culture in a Counterfeit Paradise, in which she argued that without agriculture in the Amazon being possible, the maximum population density that the Amazon rainforest could naturally support through hunting and gathering was only 0.2 people per square kilometer. And so, the Amazon had to be an extremely sparsely populated place throughout its entire history as a result. This view was reinforced over centuries by the fact that European settlers and explorers and their descendants only ever seemed to encounter small tribes of indigenous people in the rainforest, hundreds of which continue to exist across the remote depths of the Amazon still today. In fact, it's estimated that still today, even in the 21st century, the Amazon rainforest is so vast, so remote, and so difficult to access from the outside that there are still around 100 or so indigenous tribes dotted throughout it that remain so-called uncontacted, maintaining their traditional hunter-gatherer lifestyles like their ancestors have for thousands of years with little, if any, contact with the outside world. The Amazon is the host of the largest number of remaining uncontacted people in the world today, and while estimates of their exact numbers are highly varied, it's generally believed that there are around 10,000 of them scattered throughout the rainforest, hiding from the outside world. Only observed by us every so often from striking aerial photographs like these ones I'm showing to you right now. But they aren't really uncontacted in the way you think they are. They're pretty much all universally aware of the existence of the outside world and have a very long history of contact with us. But they voluntarily choose to hide and remain isolated in the rainforest because they deeply fear what the outside world will do to them if they're found. Over the past several centuries since the arrival of Europeans, and even over just the past few decades in recent living memory, countless numbers of these isolated Amazonian tribes have been massacred and enslaved by the outsiders. Across the late 19th and early 20th century, when the importance of rubber as a strategic material exploded, the rubber tree that's naturally indigenous to the Amazon basin correspondingly exploded in value and importance as well, which resulted in an unprecedented surge of European colonists flocking into the Amazon basin to strike out their fortunes, and was the catalyst for the growth of the few big Amazonian cities along the navigable stretch of the Amazon River, like Manaus and Iquitos I mentioned previously. However, as the demand for labor on the growing Amazonian rubber plantations expanded, the European owners of the plantations engaged in massive slave raids on the Amazon's indigenous populations and forced hundreds of thousands of them to work on the rubber plantations in appalling conditions with extremely high mortality rates as high as 90% in some instances, that some historians have compared in scale and brutality to the Holocaust or the Armenian Genocide. In the aftermath of the rubber boom in the mid to late 20th century, the indigenous survivors of this genocide in the Amazon fled into the most remote and difficult to access depths of the rainforest, with their memories of the horrors the outside world inflicted upon them passed down through the generations. So, rather than keeping themselves hidden from the outside world because they just prefer to keep their more traditional, simple lifestyles, they really keep themselves hidden out of this very...
Yeah, I just find that crazy. They still got uncontacted people from still living how their ancestors lived, and they say even slavery tapped in there. Like, whoa, Holocaust times and stuff. So I'm just like, man, so it's been forgotten about all that time, except for them little few people that they see every now and then. Y'all let me know more about it, if y'all know more about it.